Not a YouTuber, just like making videos. And in this one, I'm gonna go back into Jake Lane showing up at the BET Awards. To me, this is a significant event. And of course, the other guy, they're saying, you fuck around and find out he went there and got punched and all this other stuff. I gotta look at it differently because I'm not, you know what I'm saying? In a lot of ways, I'm sort of glad that he showed up because there's another telling story here. One that we have to recognize how, you know what I'm saying, this celebrated black, I don't want to say culture, but behavior or things that we tend to glorify, this sort of, you know what I'm saying, these degenerate songs and way of thinking. We protest against them all the time. A lot of us do. But Jake the Snake Lane, he showed up. Think about that Boondocks episode. And it doesn't matter if Jake Lane is getting punched and cut and pushed. Jake Lane is a human punching bag. We know that. But this is still building his brand. You know, I'm like, there's been a lot of bad things that happened to black people at these award shows. Remember when Dr. Dre got stabbed, got smacked up, and then a young buck stepped up and then sliced into the guy who smacked Dr. Dre, and Suge Knight was behind it? Yeah. So we complain about this type of stuff all the time. So, and I understand Jake Lane's whole purpose was to agitate black people, because now it's like a thing now that to confront black people, agitate them in front of their face. And you know what groups of black people are trying to downplay racism and white supremacy? Yeah, you got the coons and bootlickers, but you also got, you know what I'm saying, the blacks that's involved with that whole ghetto display, or Pookies and Ray Rays. They're also trying to downplay racism and whatnot, and not care about our image, and so forth, and coon and bootlick. Now there's a conflict between Indy Irie and Young Miami. Amy Irie spoke her mind. She's a legend. Young Miami, she's nothing. She's not even a rapper. That song, Spin That, you could have gave that song to anybody. You Sexy Red or Lotto or whatever the hell, and it would have been a hit. The song Spin That is going to be a song that's already going to put black people in the crosshairs, like the Public Enemy logo. They are already looking at black people when they come in the stores that they were stealers and so forth, were scammers. Now, I can't be... Whoa. I can't be a hypocrite. I'm like, we had songs back. I think about Annie Up by M.O.P. And that's a song that, it's a club banger. The Backpack Kids, the hip-hoppers, they love that song. And it's glorifying jacking people, running up on people, stealing their Jews or whatever. Now, you can interpret it any other way. Like, we running up in record companies and getting what was owed to us and so forth. But M.O.P. was never a celebrated group. You know what I'm saying? They never really won any awards. For the most part, they're kind of like underground backpack rappers. You know what I mean? That's why they're embellished in the black backpack community. Even though they have done songs with Jay-Z and so forth, they also done songs with Pharoah Monch and rappers like Apathy. But BET wasn't always like this. The glorification of stuff that's ignorant, that's popular. And I recognize BET, they just want to be with the popular crowd, and what's popular now is something with black people is degenerate. But BET didn't used to be like this. Think about BET in the early 80s. In the early 80s, BET for the most part would be considered boring to when I was a kid. You know, they used to have these talk shows with black economists on there and so forth, and where they're speaking real knowledge and just sophisticated stuff. Politics. They used to have video vibrations. Remember video vibrations? They mainly played R&B music. They barely played any rap. And there's a clip here on YouTube of the video vibrations guy. You know, he's that guy with the S curl and the light eyes. And it seems like he had LL Cool J on his show, and it seems like he was talking down to LL Cool J, because at the time there was these older black people that didn't really look at hip hop as like a legitimate black music or black art form and so forth. And yeah, and BET back in them days did not at any time, or not during that time, glorify or put on ignorant black behavior. You wanted to see ignorant black behavior, watch the channel 11 news. You know, BET wasn't it. Think about BETs in the early 80s, and they'll play something like The Wiz, you know, with Diana Ross. Sometimes they'll play black movies, but they'll always play The Wiz like over and over again. They'll also play stuff like Last Dragon. BET back in the days was something you can be proud of. You know what I'm saying? They said, man, leave all that ignorant shit to MTV, all these other clown-ass channels here. We're on business right here. Oh, how things have changed. But that's all I want to say. Thanks for watching. Never stop learning.